The 2025 NHL entry draft is just a day away, scheduled for June 27th and 28th at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, and the hockey world is buzzing with anticipation. Predicting the draft beyond the first few picks is pretty much an impossible task. Some teams will pick the best player available, some will pick based on position, and others could go off the board entirely. This year, instead of relying on my own intuition, I took the results of 60 mock drafts and came up with this video. It's important to remember that this mock draft is entirely speculative and is based on my own findings. In this video, I'll go through each pick, working my way up to the first overall selection. For each player, I'll share key stats and a description to give you an in-depth understanding of who is available this year and which players could be potential steals for teams. Who will your team draft? Who will the top 5 picks be? Who will go 3rd, 2nd, and 1st overall? Stay tuned to find out. So, without further ado, let's jump in. With pick 32, the Calgary Flames select Ben Kindel. Benjamin Kindel is a center, playing for the Calgary Hitmen of the Western Hockey League. This season, Kindel excelled, putting up 99 points with 35 goals in 65 games for the Hitmen. Kindel has the potential to be a steal in this year's draft, as he has the upside to become a star in the NHL. He's described as an excellent playmaker and shooter who plays a responsible defensive game. He is able to get to high danger areas to generate scoring chances. However, he does have a small frame and may not remain a center. Sam Cosentino says about Kindel, extremely intelligent player who rarely takes a shift off. There's a little Braeden point in Kindel. Kindel has an NHL certainty of 5.5 and a fantasy upside of 8. With pick 31, the Philadelphia Flyers select Cole McKinney. Cole McKinney had 61 points and 27 goals in 60 games last season for the U.S. national under-18 team. He is described as the type of prospect who could be a mid to bottom 6 NHL player. He's strong in the face-off dot, is a strong forechecker, and can play in any situation. Some areas of improvement for McKinney include his skating, explosiveness, pace of play with the puck, offensive play along the boards, and his shot from distance. According to Stephen Ellis, McKinney is a mid-sized two-way center who can play on the penalty kill, block shots, and win a ton of face-offs. He's not going to be a play driver in the NHL, but he's detail-oriented and exceptionally smart. McKinney has an NHL certainty of 7.5 and a fantasy upside of 6. With pick 30, the San Jose Sharks select Henry Brzustewicz. Henry Brzustewicz is a right-shot defenseman who played for the London Knights in the OHL this year, where he put up 42 points with 10 goals in 67 games. He is described as a smooth skating defenseman who can move the puck extremely well out of his own zone and enjoys joining in on the rush. His strengths include his shot, first pass, skating, edge work, and speed. Some areas of improvement for Brzustewicz are his defensive awareness and gap control. According to McKean's Hockey, he has a big point shot. His puck skill and ability to slip coverage are underrated. He has the intensity, mobility, and length to be a defensive standout. It's just about cleaning up those mental errors, making quicker decisions with the puck, chasing the play less. Brzustewicz has an NHL certainty of 6 and a fantasy upside of 7. With pick 29, the Carolina Hurricanes select Cullen Potter. Potter, a center, put up 22 points with 13 goals in 35 games for Arizona State University this season. Potter is described as a shifty player with pure talent and exceptional skating. He was a staple on the power play and thrived in any offensive situation. Potter is a bit on the smaller side at 5'9" and could work on his strength, physicality, and consistency. According to Scott Wheeler, Potter is the best skating forward in this age group by a margin. Potter is a small but talented and extremely fast player who uses his electric speed to put defenders on their heels, back them off, create opportunistic chances, get out in transition, and jump onto loose pucks. Potter has an NHL certainty of 4 and a fantasy upside of 9. With pick 28, the Winnipeg Jets select Bill Zonnon. Bill Zonnon is a forward for the Rouyn-Noranda Huskies in the QMJHL, who put up 83 points with 28 goals in 64 games last season. He is described as a speedy forechecker who plays with a physical edge to his game. Zonnon has strong playmaking instincts and is able to protect the puck. He has also been labeled a player with intensity, work ethic, and drive. One area of improvement for Zonnon is his defensive play, which can be inconsistent. According to scouting reports, Zonnon has the potential to become a top 9 forward in the NHL. Zonnon has an NHL certainty of 8 and a fantasy upside of 7.5. With pick 27, the Washington Capitals select Milton Gastrin. Milton Gastrin is a Swedish centerman who put up 42 points and 18 goals in 40 games in the Sweden J20 Super Elite this year. Gastrin also spent some time in the SHL this year, where he did not record any points. Gastrin doesn't have the highest ceiling, but he is described as a reliable two-way center who skates well and has no clear weaknesses in his game. He is also described as someone who has the heart and mind for leadership. According to Jordan Harris, Gastrin is most likely to end up as a middle 6 player in the NHL. Gastrin has an NHL certainty of 7 and a fantasy upside of 6.5. With pick 26, the Nashville Predators select Joshua Ravensbergen. Joshua Ravensbergen is widely thought to be the top goaltender prospect in this year's draft. This season, Ravensbergen put up a save percentage of .901 and a goals against average of 3 for the Prince George Cougars of the WHL. At 6'5", Ravensbergen is described as a tall, confident netminder who can remain calm in clutch situations. One area of improvement for Ravensbergen is controlling rebounds on shots from tough angles. According to Keith Fries, size is the immediate thing that catches your eye about Ravensbergen. The other physical element is his right catching glove, which could pique the interest of NHL teams who value silly sighters for their ability to eliminate traditional shooting windows. Ravensbergen has an NHL certainty of 5.5 and a fantasy upside of 7.5. With pick 25, the Chicago Blackhawks select Vaclav Nestrasil. Vaclav Nestrasil is an intriguing prospect who could have a ton of upside. Nestrasil is a Czechian right winger who put up 42 points and 19 goals in 61 games for the Muskegon Lumberjacks of the USHL last season. At 6'5", Nestrasil possesses a combination of size, smooth skating, puck control, and creativity. Defensively, his reach and stick work are effective. Some areas of improvement for Nestrasil include his shooting accuracy and turnovers. According to Jacob Roth, he's smart with the way he uses his big frame, especially off the puck. He draws a lot of attention from defenders and uses it to clear space for teammates. He's more of a playmaker than a shooter. He sees the ice well and distributes the puck well, especially on the rush. Nestrasil has an NHL certainty of 5.5 and a fantasy upside of 7.5. With pick 24, the Los Angeles Kings select Jack Nesbitt. Nesbitt is a center for the Windsor Spitfires of the OHL, who put up 64 points with 25 goals in 65 games last season. Nesbitt has a combination of his size and physical play. One drawback to Nesbitt is that he will take longer to develop. However, Nesbitt eventually has the potential to be a second-line center in the NHL. According to Neutral Zone, Jack Nesbitt is a prototypical power forward center with an impressive combination of size, skating ability, and a developing offensive skill set. At 6 feet 4 inches, his frame and reach make him a challenging matchup for opponents, especially when he uses his body to protect the puck rather than exposing the puck trying to make high-risk plays. Nesbitt has an NHL certainty of 6 and a fantasy upside of 6.5. With pick 23, the Nashville Predators select Sascha Boumedienne. Sascha Boumedienne is a left shot defender who put up 3 goals and 13 points in 40 games for Boston University last season. Despite being born in Finland, Boumedienne decided to represent Sweden at the U18 World Championship. At the tournament, he put up 14 points in the first 5 games and was named Best Defenseman. He has been described as a good skating, offensive defenseman who could play a power play position in the NHL. He has the skill to become a top collegiate player as he continues to develop. One area of Boumedienne's game that could use some work is his defensive play. Boumedienne has an NHL certainty of 6 and a fantasy upside of 7. With pick 22, the Philadelphia Flyers select Blake Fiddler. Blake Fiddler is a right-shot defenseman for the Edmonton Oil Kings of the WHL. Last season, he put up 33 points with 10 goals in 64 games. Fiddler has been described as smooth skating, mobile, and defensively solid. He has good size at 6'4" and plays physically. However, Fiddler sometimes makes some questionable decisions offensively and could improve his puck handling. Stephen Ellis says, Fiddler is averaging around 22 minutes a night this year and already looks good with the puck. He's mobile, and while he isn't the quickest defender overall, he moves well for his size. Overall, he has been compared to Brandon Carlo and has the potential to be a top 4 defenseman in the league. Fiddler has an NHL certainty of 6 and a fantasy upside of 7.5. With pick 21, the Ottawa Senators select Braeden Cootes. Braeden Cootes is a center who put up 63 points with 26 goals in 60 games for the Seattle Thunderbirds in the WHL. He is described as a very hard worker who never stops pursuing the puck. He rarely gets caught with a penalty and plays a 200-foot game. Some challenges with Cootes are that he's not considered a naturally gifted offensive player, and he could work on his skating. Stephen Ellis says, Cootes might become more of an energy forward in the NHL, but he'll be a good one at that. The thing that really stands out here is just how much he wants the puck, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get it. Cootes is also a solid playmaker, often easily finding teammates in open space. Cootes has an NHL certainty of 7.5 and a fantasy upside of 8. With pick 20, the Columbus Blue Jackets select Logan Hensler. Logan Hensler is a right-shot defenseman playing for the University of Wisconsin who put up 12 points with 2 goals in 32 games last year. Hensler is a player who has made massive improvements to his game. Stephen Ellis says, I am blown away by how much Hensler has improved over this season. This is a more confident player that has adjusted to the pace of the NCAA game, to the point where he is leveraging his tools at a high level to put forth effective shift after shift. First, Hensler's retrieval game has evolved. Proactive contact habits, quick decisions off the pickup. You even get some deft between the legs work. His skating is so high-end, at least a 6.5 to 7 grade. The 4-way mobility will pay constant dividends in his career. Hensler has an NHL certainty of 7.5 and a fantasy upside of 7.5. With pick 19, the St. Louis Blues select Malcolm Spence. Spence was taken 2nd overall in the 2022 OHL draft and has 73 points and 32 goals in 65 games for the Erie Otters. Spence is described as a player who shines on the big stage with a golden goal at the 2023 Hlinka Gretzky Cup. He has a combination of size and speed and can score shorthanded. One area of improvement for Spence is that he needs to simplify plays at times. Stephen Ellis says, Spence is the type of player you can put out there with anyone and get solid results. The Mississauga, Ontario native isn't flashy, but he's a hard worker who loves hitting everyone he can and getting anyone off their game. Spence has an NHL certainty of 8 and a fantasy upside of 6.5. With pick 18, the Calgary Flames select Cole Reschny. Cole Reschny is a center for the Victoria Royals of the WHL, who put up 92 points with 26 goals in 62 games last season. He is described as a high-level playmaker who has a good hockey IQ and gets heavily involved both offensively and defensively. He is willing to backcheck and is not afraid to play down low to get the puck out of the zone. Additionally, Reschny can be deployed in any situation. Hannah Stewart says, the way he can read the play and take advantage of the tiniest opportunity or misstep by an opponent is one of his biggest strengths, and something that will benefit him greatly if he can translate it to the next level. He plays with a great pace and work ethic, though we'd like to see him take over and control the game more. Reschny has an NHL certainty of 6.5 and a fantasy upside of 8. With pick 17, the Montreal Canadiens select Cameron Reid. Cameron Reid is a left-shot defenseman who put up 54 points with 14 goals in 67 games for the Kitchener Rangers of the OHL. He has a high defensive IQ and is a smooth skater who can lead the rush. He is a force on the power play and has a physical aspect to his game. One area of improvement for Reid is finishing more consistently offensively. Blake McGuire says his increased size has improved his ability to engage in puck battles and play more physically on defense, a crucial aspect of his development that will help him succeed at higher levels of play. This newfound strength complements his skating ability, making him a more well-rounded player, both defensively and offensively. Reid has an NHL certainty of 5.5 and a fantasy upside of 8.5. With pick 16, the Montreal Canadiens select Justin Carbonneau. Justin Carbonneau is a right wing who put up 89 points with 46 goals in 62 games for the Blainville-Boisbriand Armada last season. He has good shooting, playmaking, skating, physicality, and offensive awareness, but could work on his decision-making. Stephen Ellis says, Carbonneau doesn't seem to get enough love for the season he just had. He scored 46 goals and 89 points while boasting one of the best shots in the draft class. He's known for making high-end moves and can beat most players in one-on-one situations. The upside is massive here, but he can be prone to giving the puck away too easily and doesn't engage much physically. Still, with the right players around him, Carbonneau looks like a future first-line winger who can score 30 goals a season. Carbonneau has an NHL certainty of 4.5 and a fantasy upside of 9. With pick 15, the Vancouver Canucks select Kashawn Aitcheson. Kashawn Aitcheson is a left-shot defenseman for the Barrie Colts, who put up 59 points with 26 goals and 88 penalty minutes in 64 games. He's described as a unicorn who does a lot of things well. He is one of the most physical players of the draft, has a hard shot, and can lead the rush. His defense is the strongest part of his game. He shuts down rushes and has good stick work. Stephen Ellis says, Aitcheson is one of my favorite prospects in the draft. He has the potential to be an intimidating force in the NHL, someone who just gives opponents nothing to work with. His physicality is the best attribute of his game because he's willing to get involved with just about anyone. Aitcheson has an NHL certainty of 4 and a fantasy upside of 8. With pick 14, the Columbus Blue Jackets select Lynden Lakovic. Lynden Lakovic is a left wing for the Moose Jaw Warriors of the WHL, who put up 58 points with 27 goals in 47 games last season. He was instrumental in the Moose Jaw Warriors' first championship in 2023 to 2024, scoring 3 game-winning goals in overtime and 1 in regulation. He is described as a player who can process the game quickly to create offensive chances. He can force turnovers, make plays, skate fast, has good hockey sense, and has a quick and powerful shot. Lakovic was named team captain this season and was the team's humanitarian of the year. Lakovic has an NHL certainty of 5 and a fantasy upside of 9. With pick 13, the Detroit Red Wings select Victor Eklund. Victor Eklund is a left winger who put up 31 points with 19 goals in 42 games in the Sweden First Division this year. Interestingly, his brother William Eklund was taken 7th overall in 2021. Eklund has a good shot, is competitive, has good skating, and is a competent two-way player. Some potential issues with his game could include his size at 5'11" and his offensive consistency. According to Corey Pronman, Victor is an excellent skater. He has good speed, but his edge work is what separates his skating ability and how elusive he is in tight. He's a very skilled forward who makes creative plays and can do so in the tough areas. Eklund has an NHL certainty of 7.5 and a fantasy upside of 8.5. With pick 12, the Pittsburgh Penguins select Carter Bear. Carter Bear is a left winger who put up 82 points with 40 goals in 56 games for the Everett Silvertips of the WHL last season. He is one of the top prospects in this year's draft class and is described as a physical player who can win puck battles and has a good hockey IQ. Unfortunately, however, Bear's season ended with an Achilles laceration, which could hurt his draft stock. Corey Pronman says about Bear, he makes a lot of plays through defenders and to his teammates. Bear's skill stands out, but the way he creates offense should likely translate to higher levels. He gets to the net to generate chances, plays fast, and is a good enough skater. Bear has an NHL certainty of 8.5 and a fantasy upside of 8. With pick 11, the Pittsburgh Penguins select Jackson Smith. Jackson Smith is a left-shot defenseman who had a very solid year with the Tri-City Americans, putting up 54 points with 11 goals in 68 games. He is described as someone who could be a gem of a prospect in this year's draft. He has excellent puck-moving and playmaking abilities. He is solid defensively and skates well. As Stephen Ellis says, he's physical, he skates so well, and he's as mobile as it gets for a 6'3" defenseman. I also think his hockey sense is great, and it's only a matter of time until he finds a way to explode offensively. Scouts see him as a top 4 defenseman who can play a bunch of different roles. Smith has an NHL certainty of 5 and a fantasy upside of 9. With pick 10, the Anaheim Ducks take Roger McQueen. Roger McQueen is a center for the Brandon Wheat Kings of the WHL, who put up 20 points and 10 goals in 17 games last season. He is described as a big 6'5" highly skilled center who can dominate games. He has excellent net front presence, can be physical, and has solid skating for his size. One potential risk with McQueen is injury. He missed time this season with a spinal stress fracture, which could be off-putting to teams. According to Stephen Ellis, an injury knocked McQueen out for close to 5 months, and his return to Brandon has been a bit slow. But scouts absolutely love the massive 6'5" forward, someone who isn't afraid of anything and has the energy to match it. McQueen has an NHL certainty of 6 and a fantasy upside of 9. With pick 9, the Buffalo Sabres select Radim Mrtka. Mrtka is a tall right-shot defenseman who put up 35 points with 3 goals in 43 games for the Seattle Thunderbirds. He is described as a player who is a solid two-way defender, skates well, and is considered to be an elite player in the WHL. The biggest asset Mrtka has is his defensive sense of the game. He uses his long reach to take away passing lanes and defend on the rush. One area of improvement for Mrtka is his shot and his shooting consistency. Another area of improvement for Mrtka is his physicality. Mrtka will likely need more time to develop his game in the WHL next season. Mrtka has an NHL certainty of 6.5 and a fantasy upside of 8.5. With pick 8, the Seattle Kraken choose Porter Martone. Porter Martone is a player who could be drafted as high as 2nd or 3rd overall in this year's draft. Martone is a right winger for the Brampton Steelheads, who put up 98 points with 37 goals in 57 games last season in the OHL. He is described as the type of player who could excel in the Stanley Cup playoffs and thrives in big moments. According to Neutral Zone, with a rare combination of size, skill, and mentality that makes him a highly craved prospect, Martone has shown the traits of a dominant power forward with a strong offensive toolkit, an imposing physical presence, and a knack for making game-changing plays. Martone has an NHL certainty of 6 and a fantasy upside of 9. With pick 7, the Boston Bruins take Brady Martin. Brady Martin is a center for the Sioux Greyhounds, who put up 72 points with 33 goals in 57 games last season. He is described as a player who can bring energy, hard work, physicality, and production from any spot in the lineup. He also has solid defensive instincts and doesn't take unnecessary risks. His shot is solid, and he is a solid passer. According to David Saad, few players go hard in the paint like Brady Martin. His competitiveness, intensity, and confidence pop off the screen with every shift. Nobody will question his effort, especially not with how physically he plays. Interestingly, Martin is expected to skip the draft this year to stay home on the farm to do seeding, chores, and spend time with family. Martin has an NHL certainty of 8 and a fantasy upside of 8.5. With pick 6, the Philadelphia Flyers take Jake O'Brien. Jake O'Brien is a center from the Brantford Bulldogs of the OHL. Last season, he put up 32 goals and 98 points in 66 games for the Bulldogs. In the playoffs, O'Brien continued his solid play with 11 points and 3 goals in 11 games. O'Brien is described as a player who has some of the best playmaking skills in this draft class and plays a solid two-way game. He is willing to get into dirty areas to win puck battles and pressure opponents to force turnovers. Additionally, O'Brien is described as a quiet leader who has captain potential. Due to his exceptional play this season, O'Brien has gone from a mid to late first-round pickup to a top 10 choice. O'Brien has an NHL certainty of 7 and a fantasy upside of 8.5. With pick 5, the Nashville Predators select James Hagens. One interesting case in this year's draft is James Hagens. Last summer, nobody would have challenged the notion that Hagens would go first overall in this year's draft. However, after a season where Hagens did not dominate as much as some would have hoped, his landing place in this year's draft is a big question mark. Hagens still managed to produce this year, posting 11 goals and 37 points in 37 games for Boston College. One mock draft has Hagens going 3rd to the Blackhawks. Other mock drafts have him going 4th to Utah. But most of the mock drafts I reviewed say Hagens will go to the Nashville Predators at 5th. Many teams are reportedly interested in Hagens. According to Cam Robinson, he has had 16 total interviews, and 4 of the top 5 drafting teams have either dined with or requested additional time with him. Hagens is described as a player with elite playmaking vision, good skating, high-end skill, and strong puck control. However, due to his size, he may be bumped to the wing from the center position. Hagens has an NHL certainty of 5 and a fantasy upside of 9. With pick 4, the Utah Mammoths select Caleb Desnoyers. Caleb Desnoyers is a center for the Moncton Wildcats of the QMJHL, who put up 84 points with 35 goals in 56 games last season. In the playoffs, Desnoyers performed exceptionally well, putting up 30 points with 9 goals in 19 games. For his efforts, he was awarded the G. Lafleur Trophy as QMJHL Playoffs MVP. Desnoyers has been described as a player who thinks the game at an elite level, has speed, gets to goal-scoring areas, and is committed to playing defense. One slight area of improvement for Desnoyers could be his passing efficiency, as he can create turnovers at times. Desnoyers has an NHL certainty of 8 and a fantasy upside of 8.5. With the 3rd overall pick, the Chicago Blackhawks draft Anton Frondell. Out of 16 NHL mock drafts, 6 had the Blackhawks selecting Anton Frondell 3rd. Frondell is a Swedish hockey player who put up 25 points with 11 goals in 29 games in the Sweden First Division this year. He is described as a player who has strong awareness, a good hockey IQ, and who plays a 200-foot game. He excels with his hands and puck control in tight areas and possesses a powerful one-timer along with an accurate wrist shot. He has the potential to one day be a top-line centerman in the NHL. On the Blackhawks, Frondell could add to a pool of young, talented players such as Connor Bedard, Sam Rinzel, Artyom Levshunov, Kevin Korchinski, Frank Nazar, and Nick Lardis. Frondell has an NHL certainty of 8 and a fantasy upside of 8.5. With the second overall pick, the San Jose Sharks draft, Michael Misa. Misa put up an excellent season leading the OHL in point scoring with 134 points and finishing second in goal scoring with 62 goals in 65 games. Misa is described as a well-rounded two-way player with solid speed, shooting, passing, playmaking, puck control, and hockey IQ. Mike Kennedy goes as far as to say Misa is a generational talent. Dave Drinkel says about Misa, he's one of those players that when he was on the ice, and he still is like this, he brings you to the edge of your seat a little bit. You expect something's going to happen. On the Sharks, Misa could join Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith to give the team a lethal trio of centers for the future. Misa has an NHL certainty of 9 and a fantasy upside of 9.5. With the first overall pick, the New York Islanders draft Matthew Schaefer. The consensus first overall pick in this year's draft is Matthew Schaefer. In 16 NHL mock drafts, Schaefer was drafted first 16 times. Schaefer is a left-shot defenseman playing for the Erie Otters of the OHL, where he put up 22 points with 7 goals in 17 games last season. Schaefer has been described as a dominant defenseman who plays a complete two-way game. He is an excellent skater and watches how the play develops around him to find space and maintain puck possession. According to Bob McKenzie, Schaefer is a marvelous skater who can move the puck up the ice quickly with his feet or his hands. His offensive instincts are top-notch. He can make plays, he can score goals. On the Islanders, Schaefer would bolster a strong defensive core consisting of Alexander Romanov, Noah Dobson, Adam Pelech, and Ryan Pulock. The addition of Schaefer to the Islanders could allow the team to trade one of their defensemen for other assets. Schaefer has an NHL certainty of 8 and a fantasy upside of 9.5. Some other players that could be drafted in the first round include Will Horkoff, Eric Nilsson, Daniel Prokhorov, Simon Wang, Jack Murtagh, Shane Van Sage, William Moore, Jacob East Wozniak, and Riker Lee. So that concludes my 2025 NHL mock draft. Who do you think should be drafted in the first round this year? Which players do you think could be steals for teams? Let me know in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want more hockey content. Thank you very much.